I'm Dr. Catherine Hughes from Crime Psych. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about how sex sells, how well sex sells, and how that has far-reaching implications for all of us. Sex is big business. We see billboards with semi-naked women advertising perfume, and it isn't even limited to women either. Men get it too. This isn't going to be one of those videos ranting about how highly sexualised society has become. Far from it. It's fun to dress up in sexy clothes. We like it. It makes us feel good. We like to see it. It can give us a boost in our self-esteem to wear something sexy. I will, of course, have to pay for my children's therapy sessions now because of the cover photo I used. Sorry, boys. Advertisers use sexy images all the time. Pop stars dance around in very revealing clothing. Some music videos are just soft pornography. We see people on television and on YouTube looking absolutely gorgeous and sexy. And of course, we have the wonders of the internet and mobile phones to make it easier for us to access any images or videos that we want. But it does come at a cost to us and to our everyday life and experiences. Seeing these unrealistic, achievable images everywhere, we can feel not good enough when we're not that skinny, our lips aren't that plump, or our boobs aren't that big, and so on. Younger people these days feel they have very high standards to achieve if they want to be like their role models. Last week I talked about in my dating experiences at the age of 45. There were some people who were quite nice and others who were just disgusting. Some of them assumed that I was on dating websites just because I wanted to have intercourse. The conversations with them would almost always turn sexual. Not a problem. I'm a big girl. I know I can look after myself and say no to things that I'm not comfortable with. But this happens to many other women too. Last week I talked about the screenshots that a lady had sent to me of conversations that she'd had on dating sites. There is a societal tendency for men to think sending pictures of their genitals or discussing sex before they've met you is acceptable, normal and expected. I also told you last week about some of my experiences when I was growing up. As a young woman, I remember being out in the town centre with some work friends. We'd all been drinking and I couldn't find them. I recognised one of the security guards who worked on the door of my building, and after a short chat he walked me to the taxi rank. But then he tried to kiss me. I was pushing him away and I was telling him no, but he was stronger than me and he kept on persisting. I noticed a group of lads I could see just over his shoulder and just mouthed, "Help me." Thankfully they did come and help me, and as I subsequently found out, they beat him up too. They made sure that I was in the taxi and moving, and I will always be eternally grateful for that. As soon as I got home, I rang the police and I reported it. They came out to see me and interviewed me. They got his address through some work records and they went and spoke to him too. They came back to me and said that he told them that we were out on a date together, which we weren't. They asked how much I'd had to drink and they suggested that I might have led him on a bit. I was asked if I was wearing that skirt when I was out. It was particularly short. They told me that he was beaten up by a group of lads and I said yes, that was because he was attacking me. And they said, well, it's your word against his, so there's not much we can do. The incident was never taken any further. I was 26 at the time, and at the time I remember having thoughts of maybe I led him on. Maybe I didn't try hard enough to get him off me. Was it my fault? I drank too much, it must have been. How could I go to work the next day and face him after that? I was genuinely scared about that instance. And of course now I know that it doesn't matter how much I'd had to drink, whether or not we were on a date or how short my skirt was. I said no. Almost 2 million girls around the country are forced to change how they live their lives as a direct result of sexual harassment in public places. More often than not, it's whilst they're wearing school uniforms with many of them. I mentioned last week the UK government has introduced a new strategy called Violence Against Women and Girls, and that's aimed at changing disturbing figures of sexual harassment and sexual abuse of school-age girls. That plan will create a rape and a sexual assault helpline, which is open 24/7, and they will ban hymen repairs or so-called virginity tests in the UK. I've seen newspaper articles with headlines such as, "It's an offence to wolf whistle at a girl." Not only is that wrong, it's really harmful to hold those types of attitudes. As I said, we do live in this society with highly sexualised role models. We've got Nicki Minaj singing about her genitals. You have these music videos, like I said last week, that are more like soft pornography than anything else. We have these reality TV programmes of people doing more and more outrageous things to get noticed. And then, of course, we've got all of these social media platforms, and people will go to extremes. A young woman talking to The Independent said that she was training for a marathon, and so she was experiencing sexual harassment in public virtually every day while she was out going for runs. She said that she stopped exercising eventually after a man in a van shouted comments about her breasts. She was 11 years old at the time. And these young girls are changing the way that they behave. They're being cautious about where they go, what clothes they wear, restricting themselves in a variety of ways. It has a huge impact on mental health and well-being. In a BBC article, one rape victim said that she found it challenging trying to speak to her friends about it. She even said, and I mentioned this last week as well, she said her friends had told her, even if it was 80% him, it was still 20% you, and are you sure you didn't lead him on? That isn't really all surprising. It's what we've been fed and what we've become used to over the years. So there's two sides to this really. On the one hand, we like it, we want to see it, we want to dress up and make ourselves feel sexy. We see images everywhere of these unachievable standards. And of course, I'm talking here about women being sexualised because that's all I've got experience of. I am sure that there are many challenges that men today have. We want to look sexy, we want to turn other people on. Some women even use their sexuality to gain things such as money or fame. It could be argued that the basis for all this is the psychology of looking for a mate to reproduce. Women can only have one pregnancy at a time and have to wait to give birth before they can become pregnant again, whereas men can make several women a day pregnant. However, thinking along those terms, it's not really that simple though. We have men who are sexually attracted to other men. We have women who are sexually attracted to other women. We have those with no sexual preferences, or they identify as a gender that's different to the one that they were born with. It is a very complex process with no easy way of explaining or accounting for anyone. And the end result is that we have a perception though of women that is highly sexualised and capitalised within modern society. Pubescent teen girls try to emulate the looks and the fashions of their role models, and they want to look older and have boys their age notice them. However, that can then lead to them being sexually harassed by men of all ages. Sending pictures of genitals has become expected of many people who are dating now. When people are getting to know each other, sex is commonly brought up fairly quickly these days. And as a result of this, pubescent teens have picked up on it, and there is now a trend to feel pressured to engage in that way and send these pictures. I do certainly feel that it is a subject that should be discussed in schools when they're learning about sex and relationships. If we don't have open and honest conversations with young people, they'll then rely on each other to decide whether something's normal or not. Every single person in society should be having conversations about how to put boundaries in place if they want them. There's nothing abnormal about a man wanting to wait a few months before engaging in sexual activity. There's nothing abnormal about a woman who chooses to have sex with a different man every week. There's nothing wrong with sharing images if the two people consent. We all have different viewpoints and standards and shouldn't be judged or criticised for the choices that we make. Unless, of course, those choices are to make other people feel uncomfortable, insecure, afraid, or share images that weren't given under consent. We need to understand that some people may want to fit in and do what they think is expected of them within relationships and within society. Some people don't want to stand out and they might go along with things that they don't really want to. Other people don't really want to fit in and they want to stand out. I've seen a few people on these reality shows that do things that are absolutely shocking because they want to get noticed. The way that we interact with potential mates has changed rapidly over the years because of the development of the internet and of smartphones. If I wanted to see a picture of an erect penis when I was 18, I had to draw it. But this rapid development that we've had has led to criminal and deviant acts becoming much easier to do. Making and distributing pornographic images of children is much easier these days than it ever was. Sending somebody an image of genitals that they didn't ask for is easy. Sexualising women, then blaming men for seeing them as sex symbols, is easier. In conclusion then, this is a really huge area of psychology to study. It's complex and there are many contributing factors, as well as sexuality being used for pleasure. It can also be used for crime and deviant behaviour. The main takeaway from this video is stop bloody judging each other for the choices that we make. Don't send images that nobody asked for unless you ask for them first or they ask you for one. Any images that are shared between people are for you, not your friends too. Don't be afraid to set your boundaries, even if they're different to other people around you. And finally, don't assume everyone is the same as you. Not all women on Tinder are on Tinder just because they want intercourse. Not all men are on dating sites that are going to send you explicit images. We'll wrap that up for today here, but stop bloody judging each other. Thank you for taking the time to listen to this today. I do hope that you've learned something new from it. Bye for now then.